Hello my friends.
We are delighted to welcome you to the Alterac Valley.
Dear friends, today we have prepared a video for you, which unfortunately may be the last video on our channel.
We want to take advantage of this moment to turn to Team 5. Dear developers, over the last year you have evolved Hearthstone through a huge number of very important changes. We are extremely grateful for your efforts under such difficult circumstances. We love Hearthstone so much, so we can't ignore some of the issues.
We've been seeing a series of failures in progression systems lately. The first Battle Pass concept was truly disgusting, but the first version of the rewards track fixed most of the concept's problems, and didn't deserve such a negative reaction from the community, but it was still far from perfect. The current version of the rewards track has the potential to fix some very old flaws of the game, but the track hasn't evolved much over the course of this year.
The potentially cool Mercenaries mode was stifled by a terrible progression system, making buying packs completely pointless.
The lack of a coin conversion system is something completely inexplicable to us, since according to our preliminary calculations, an active player could get a complete collection of all improved Mercenaries in 4 months and, in addition, a ton of excess coins.
In our opinion, problems in progression systems have already become a trend. We get the impression that completely different teams with different visions are working on new content and the economy of the game.
We can't leave Hearthstone without noticing another hidden issue that no one is talking about. We believe that this issue has the potential to damage traditional Hearthstone in the long run. This video is about mini-sets.
If you are a frequent visitor to our channel, you probably know that we have a negative attitude towards the way mini-sets are implemented in Hearthstone. We have already shared our thoughts on this topic with you on several occasions. In fact, our complicated relationship with the mini-sets began a year before they were officially announced. A feature of the Year of the Dragon was the emergence of new paid adventures in the dungeon run format. Starting in 2017, Blizzard promised that solo content in Hearthstone would be completely free. After 2 years they changed their mind. This was not a big tragedy, since the purchase of these adventures was optional. But free-to-play players were faced with a difficult choice, whether to buy solo content and have fun or save the gold for the new expansion. According to our polls, this approach had a very negative impact on the internal game economy, which led to a decrease in interest in the game as a whole. The most cynical was the third adventure of the year, Galakrond's Awakening. This adventure was a must-buy adventure as it contained 35 cards and was in fact the first experimental attempt to introduce mini-sets into the game. Blizzard created an artificial additional source of spending for players that reduced the overall income of players by almost 30%. And you know what? The players were delighted with this. Moreover, some players considered this approach fair enough. After a positive response from the community, Blizzard decided to make mini-sets regular.
If you're wondering why the guys thought the first mini-set was a big problem, you can check out their video from 2 years ago. In my opinion, it still remains relevant.
While the community believes that the cost of mini-sets is fair, the first major downside to mini-sets is in fact their cost.
The full implementation of the mini-set system took place in parallel with the release of the new progression system, which almost completely compensates free-to-play players for the cost of mini-sets in gold. But in order to get this gold, the player must do much more than before. Firstly, players must complete additional weekly quests that require more effort from the players and also tediously grind achievements from the gameplay section. On average, the rewards track allows you to get less gold, if you subtract the cost of the mini-set, but more useful resources.
Let's assume you are a responsible free-to-play player who does all the activities regularly. The mini-set will be almost free for you. But what about newcomers, or players who don't play regularly? For them, the new system is much more expensive.
Here are 3 different scenarios. Suppose a new player is trying to collect a collection of the current main expansion. For this he only needs to buy about 225 packs.
If the player wants to get the 135 card collection of the previous major expansion, then the player will have to purchase 24% more packs, as they did not collect special rewards on the reward track. In modern conditions, when a set consists of 170 cards, for a complete collection of the previous expansion, the player needs to purchase 320 packs, in other words, he needs to buy 44% more packs. Our video about the death of traditional Hearthstone, quite unexpectedly for us, had a very big response and provoked a discussion in the community. Some popular streamers have recorded their reactions and even translated it into other languages. Regis Kilbin, Plagiate, Zeddy, Warshak, Atlas and Old Guardian, who offered a completely different take on the problem. We consider each of these opinions extremely important for the future of traditional Hearthstone.
Most of the content creators noted that one of the most important drawbacks of the game is the very high entry threshold for newcomers, and the difficulty of returning for players who have taken a break.
Mini-sets greatly exacerbate this problem by making the game significantly more expensive. If you don't play regularly, but complete all the quests at least once a week, you will have the opportunity to get a little more gold and even get a mini-set for free. But if you take long breaks from the game, the cost of the collection will increase significantly.
From the beginning of the new year, 4 main sets and an additional 3 mini-sets will be available for players. The cost of returning to the game will be higher than ever. For new players, things are even worse.
We want to pay attention to another aspect, the usefulness of cards in mini-sets and their lifespan in the metagame.
According to our data, approximately 30% of mini-set cards are not used at all in the standard metagame. Approximately 20% of cards had less than 50% lifespan in the metagame. This means that most of them have been used for a very short time, while the cards from the mini-sets have been in the metagame for just over a year. Another 23% of cards have a lifespan above 50%. In other words, they are used in the metagame from several months to 6 months. Some of them are part of ineffective archetypes, but they are useful and have some potential. Currently, only 25% of cards have a 100% lifespan, which means they haven't left the metagame since release. We can conclude that, on average, only half of the cards in mini-sets are useful.
To be honest, we don't believe in the thesis that more cards equals more fun. Rather, the more cards, the higher the entry threshold, the more difficult it is for casual players to remember the cards, the more difficult it is to balance the game, the more bugs will appear in the game. And this year was the worst for Hearthstone in terms of performance. Seriously, we've never seen so many bugs before.
In our previous video, we analyzed the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. There are 10,000 cards available in the game, but this does not make the game more diverse and balanced, rather the opposite.
In our opinion, in their current form, mini-sets do more harm than good to the game, significantly increasing the entry threshold, making the game more difficult for casual players, and also not as varied as is commonly believed.
If we were asked what needs to be done to make Hearthstone better, we would definitely suggest completely changing the approach to creating mini-sets. There are a huge number of options. For example, each mini-set could contain 5 free cards that cannot be disenchanted, and players could receive them regardless of the period when they joined the game. Imagine being able to get Raid Boss Onyxia and 4 more cards for free as a special event. Would the current metagame become significantly less diverse? We don't think so. Moreover, if you missed the event, you can pick up these cards by completing a special achievement. This approach will not affect the cost of the game for all players.
Mini-set cards could be available for a limited time, for a month or 2. The main idea would be to make mini-sets reactive by bringing ineffective archetypes back to life or creating insane combinations for a short time.
On this topic, we can fantasize endlessly. What do you think about this? Is the current implementation of mini-sets good enough?
Dear friends, the time has come to share with you the reasons for the pause of the Hearthstone Mathematics channel.
I'm a Ukrainian. Today my life and the life of my family is in critical danger.
My house is engulfed in the unstoppable flame of war, which flares up brighter with each new day.
The force of evil drops bombs on residential areas, destroys the infrastructure of cities and architectural monuments, shoots at the civilian population, provokes environmental disasters and commits terrorist acts. All these actions have signs of the genocide of the European people. This violence has no reason or justification. This is just the whim of one crazy demon who drowns his own people in fear and lies. The name of this demon is Putin.
We desperately oppose him, but his goal is to take as many lives as possible. The world is not ready to resolutely confront the forces of evil.
There are no safe places left in Ukraine. I don't know which day will be my last. Maybe today is my last chance to express my gratitude and boundless love to each of you.
Thanks to your support and interest, I was able to create several hundred videos on various topics, propose my crazy concepts, anticipate future changes in the game, discuss shortcomings, and even create a huge animated film dedicated to the game's characters. You have been an integral part of this process, as many of my ideas have been based on survey results and your comments.
I was so happy to make these videos for you. I am so proud that I managed to get the approval of 75,000 subscribers on this channel.
Hearthstone, without exaggeration, has become the meaning of life for me. Huge thanks to my patrons who made my life a little easier.
Huge thanks to Team 5 and Blizzard for the game that revolutionized the card game industry and turned my life around.
I believe that next year, Hearthstone will be even better.
Special thanks to Chris for his incredible support and help. He was the most faithful assistant even in the most difficult life situations. Dude, I will be infinitely grateful to you until my last breath.
I have never met such a dedicated person as you.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us all this time.
Perhaps we will meet again in the vastness of Azeroth. Good luck.